Hello and welcome back to another video, and this time we are packing up and heading to Nxai Pans National Park. And this is a special video because it is our second year anniversary, and so this trip was to celebrate. So once we got packed up, we filled up with diesel, a total of 160 liters of diesel, and then we got on the road heading to Nxai Pans, praying that our car would not break down for once. We soon arrived at the Nxai Pans National Park entrance gate. I say soon, we could only drive at 80 kilometers an hour, but we did arrive. And once we arrived, there was no queue or anything. We just signed in the register and presented all our paperwork to the officer. There was quite a few people coming in. I was a little bit concerned by the sandy roads, so let down the pressure in the tires. By the way, do you like my new tires? I've swapped my tires out for narrow tires. I used to have really wide tires. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like narrow tires or wide tires? I am very quickly becoming a fan of narrow tires. They just sit in these sand ruts, and we basically glided through all this thick sand for the next 35 kilometers to Southgate. Found a few things along the way, and one was this tortoise. So cool to see a tortoise. I think every single time I've gone to Nxai Pans, I've seen at least one tortoise, and so it's kind of special to see a tortoise for me whenever I go to Nxai Pans. At around 12 o'clock, because we left Mountain late, we arrived at the scout camp at Nxai Pans, Southgate. Once again, just had to present my paperwork for my campsite, but of course this didn't take long at all. Well, we soon arrived at South Camp. It's only about 1 kilometer from the scout camp, and we were greeted by this young elephant bull in the campsite. He often hangs around the campsite, and the lady at the gate said, well, if you are comfortable with him hanging around, just let him hang around. But if you're not comfortable with him hanging around, just clap your hands and he'll be sure to move off. So he's a very well-trained elephant, and you'll see much of him if you visit the campsites there. I think he was there every single day we were there. But we didn't stay in the main campsite. We stayed in campsite number 1, which is definitely my favorite campsite. It's a little bit more isolated, a little bit more private than the main group of campsites. As you can see, I was very happy, but mainly happy just because my car hadn't broken down and had made it all the way. But time to set up camp. By the way, lots of jackals running around. and within no time at all, our campsite was set up. Set up our beautiful little tent, our little kitchen arrangement, mostly got the car offloaded, and here we go. Look at our little tent. We've got a nice little bedroll. Forgot to bring extra pillows this time. We do like to have at least 2 pillows each, and I think if you've got space for it, have the luxury and have 2 pillows. We then went off and had a shower. The ablutions at Nxai Pans are beautiful. They are very, very clean. The water runs. The shower is powerful. Well, that powerful. It was really good. We enjoyed the ablutions there. It was so nice to be able to have those clean ablutions to go to after a long day of game driving. So that is a huge plus for Nxai Pans. After a nice cooling shower, even though it was only 1:30 and very, very hot, we decided to do a little loop by the watering hole just to see what was happening, even though we did know it was going to be so hot and unlikely that anything really interesting is going to be moving around. But we did hope to see a lot of elephants, and we were not disappointed. The water hole was very busy with elephants, herds of elephants, single elephants, baby elephants, all coming in, going out. I think a person could spend many happy hours at the Nxai Pans watering hole. Well, after watching the elephants coming and going for a little while, we decided to head back to camp and have a nap. I think I've said this before, but my better half needs her nap, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 naps a day. And so it was time to go back to camp and settle down for a little nap, and then we would go out for an evening game drive. Our nap time was soon disturbed by this naughty little jackal trying to get into our kitchen box. He stood no chance. That kitchen box is solid steel, and I don't think even a hyena would have much happiness with that tin box. But he had a sniff around. Of course, we were careful not to leave any food out for him, so he soon got tired and ran off. But it was cool to see him come sniffing around.
So we are over here in our campsite. We're in campsite number 1. And we're going to go all the way up here. We're going to go past the water hole, loop round, and then head all the way to over here. We're going to investigate, maybe this is a den. And then we'll probably take a little loop round like this and come back to the jackal.
I saw it in the reflection.
What is it? Anyway, that's it. So we're going. What's the time? You got ice on it, eh? Oh, you got stuck. Got the lemons.
Our first stop of our afternoon drive was of course the waterhole, and we made this a habit. Every time we went out on a game drive, we stopped by the waterhole first. When I say the waterhole, I always mean the main waterhole. There are a few others. Then we went up trying to find that den that I thought I'd seen on Google Earth. It turned out it wasn't a den, but we didn't even find it on this game drive, and that was because I drove down the wrong road. On my map that I was showing you earlier, I had forgot to mark in one of the roads, and so of course in the updated map that you can download in the link, I've updated all the roads and I've entered in all the little areas. As you can see, the map that I'm using currently doesn't have any information marked on it. It's a very plain map, and that was because I was exploring. We were exploring, trying to add in details to our map, and that's what we did over the next 4 days. After the giraffe had moved off from the baobab tree, we came back there and stopped by to make ourselves a gin and tonic. There are these little baobab trees scattered throughout the Nxai Pans, a little park area, and many of them have little picnic spots next to them. So the perfect place to make a gin and tonic or have a cup of coffee if it's in the morning.
This one I don't think will have anything in it.
This little road was a very bushy road. In fact, we soon discovered that these bushy areas, very much like the Mopani belt areas in Nxai, aren't frequented by a lot of wild animals, apart from like buffalo and elephant. And most of the animals that you see are actually out in the more open areas. So it was definitely a lesson learned. Don't spend too much time in the thick brush unless you've got a good reason to be there. Maybe you've heard something, or you've got directions into those bushes. But mainly stick to the more open areas unless there's absolutely nothing there. Then maybe as a second step, go to the more bushy areas.
No, I don't think we share. I think we... don't know.
We're lost.
Lost in... Not lost, we're just exploring. That's what we are. Never lost. I was running.
Having spent our first afternoon exploring in the more bushy areas of the park, we decided to head back to the waterhole for the sunset. And the waterhole is a beautiful place to watch the sunset. with the light fading, it was time to head back to camp for our very first night in Nxai Pans National Park. Well, soon we were back at camp, and here I would like to introduce you to my three-legged pot. This is a new feature, and that's called frozen curry. Because we have to go through the Makalamabedi veterinary gate, you can't take fresh meat through the veterinary gate, and so everything for this trip was pre-cooked, or chicken or bacon. So tonight it was chickpea chicken curry. It was very good, but we settled down to cook that, or rather to warm that up in our little three-legged pot, and of course a little bit of sparkling white wine to help it along. This little jackal was so cute, so we had to make sure all our food was packed away. Remember, don't feed the wild animals, as tempting as it may be. You don't want someone to get hurt.
I forgot which one's which.
That one's mine.
This one's yours.
Well, it's 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and we're just getting our coffee made before heading out. We always heat the water up the night before and put it in the thermos, and this lets us get our first morning cup of coffee quickly, so we can get out before the sun rises. I think if you want to get good sightings, you must get up early, and this is something we believe in strongly, and so we do everything we can to get out the camp with the sunrise.
We're nearly at the waterhole.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
I'm not sure because last night was really quiet. So I don't know if there's anything about, but we'll see.
Well, waking up early in the morning was paying off. As we approached the waterhole, lying in the road right by the waterhole were two young male lions. And we would be so fortunate over the next few days to be able to meet up with these two lions on numerous occasions. But what a perfect way to start the day, sitting and drinking your coffee while watching these two guys greet the morning light.
Mm-hmm.
Then we just get off the road a little bit.
You can see in the background of this shot the lights of other vehicles already on their way. And it's just another reason why you have to get up really early if you want to have good sightings, because these animals don't stick around long when more and more vehicles arrive.
Tell me about the scene.
The scene. The other one's hiding in the bush there.
Well, these two young male lions seem to be trying to take over this area here in Nxai Pans. Already they've managed to kill some of the young babies that belong to one of the female lions. And so it does seem like they're trying to take over. But because of their age being so young, it is doubtful that they will continue to have any kind of dominance in this area. But we'll be back here in October, and so it'll be very interesting to see if they're still around, if they've established themselves in this area. But time will tell. But how good is this? Having your coffee and watching the lions. This is definitely our favorite thing to do. As the sun came over the horizon and more vehicles started to arrive, these two young lions decided to move away from the maddening crowds and took refuge in what I've marked on our map as the Lion Triangle. But in that thick bush, they slowly made their way in there to settle down for the day. But this was our first morning in the Nxai Pans, and so we decided to set off and see what else we could find and explore. And hopefully our real goal for this trip was to find either wild dogs or a leopard. Of course, always lions, but we really were hoping to find some wild dogs or some leopards.
So we're coming up here now. We're going to come down and then we're going to come all the way down. I think we'll come all the way down back to camp. So we'll come down this way. See how that goes.
Well, we soon came across this really beautiful baobab tree. And as it was our anniversary on this very morning, we decided to stop here and have our anniversary coffee under this beautiful tree. Last year, we had our anniversary in Mababi, next to the little Mababi river, well, really the Kwai River. And this year, we celebrated our anniversary under this beautiful baobab tree with a good cup of coffee, lots of baked goods, and just really enjoyed it and meditated and talked about the last year. It's been a great 2 years, married to the most beautiful girl in the world.
I am. I had the best 2 years.
Well, after a really good coffee stop, we made our way out, still in the thickets. I must say, our first 2 days, we spent a lot of time in these thickets. But fortunately, it wasn't long after that a little winding road led us out into the open plains. And this top section of the Nxai Pans is stunning. I think the videos don't really do it justice, but it is so beautiful. You know, these wide open plains dotted with anthills, and every single like minute you expect to see a cheetah like step out from behind an anthill or step onto the top of an anthill. It's so beautiful and definitely became a favorite part of Nxai Pans for us. Making our way across the plains and slowly making our way back home to the main waterhole, we discovered this small hidden waterhole on the way. Also, one of the really cool things we spotted were these little jackal always sleeping by a little anthill. They're so cute. But we still had another surprise. Just as we neared the main waterhole, again, in that section which we call the lion triangle, was this female lion. And she was the lioness that had her cubs killed by those two other lions. So on close inspection, you could see that she had been bitten and her tail had been all cuts in it. There Heather was really pleased to have spotted it. She spotted it. So she was very proud of herself. But this, she had so many cuts and scrapes on her. You could see she had been fighting, no doubt trying to defend her cubs. But she just lay there calling and calling very softly. You can't even hear it in the video, but she was just giving the small, soft call. We're not sure who she was trying to communicate with, whether it was the two male lions or the other pride of lions that we would find later on. After sitting with the lioness for a little while, we left her under her bush and went to the main waterhole. And here we saw this beautiful big bull elephant, and absolutely beautiful. I always think that the Nxai Pans elephants in the surrounding area, they have some of the biggest elephants, and their tusks are really beautiful, often much bigger than you find in the rest of the country. Anyway, time to head back to camp. On our camp driveway, we had this little elephant. They keep going to drink the wastewater from the showers. So he was on his way there. He said a little hello to us. But it was time to settle into camp and make some breakfast. But first, time to head over, dodging the elephants, to do a little bit of washing in the beautiful kitchen area behind the ablutions. Well, with the dishes cleaned, it is very nice having a place to do the washing that is so nice and clean. It was back to camp to cook breakfast, and it's our anniversary breakfast, so bacon and eggs, basically just the usual bush breakfast. But there is something really special about cooking bacon and eggs on the fire with a little bit of toast. Makes for a good breakfast.
These are nice big eggs.
Well, there you go, bacon and eggs, toast, and baked beans. Of course, don't forget a nice glass of ice cold Moscato. Makes for the perfect breakfast. Talking about baked beans, how do you feel about baked beans? They've become a permanent part of our breakfast. My wife, of course, being British, she does like her baked beans. Let us know how you feel about it. Because some people really don't like them, and others, they count them as a necessity. So let me know in the comments. Baked beans.
So it's 22:02 and it's very hot. We tried to take a nap, but it was very, very hot. And so we're going to walk through there and go and have a shower. And then I think we'll go for a drive, a bit earlier than usual. Normally we go driving at 3 o'clock, but the tent is too hot to nap. There was an elephant breaking down the trees in the camp next door. But our friendly jackal didn't come today, so I think he's discovered that we don't have any food for him, and so he didn't come. Maybe he'll come later.
Anyway, there was no cold water, no water at all at the showers. So it was time for a cold drink to head out and do a little afternoon game drive. And that was it.
So,
afternoon drive. We are leaving camp over here. We're going to stop by the office and just let them know that there's no water at the camp. And then we're going to do this. This is called the Western Road. It goes all the way up, and then we're going to take it across like this, down to the waterhole. And this is where we saw the lions this morning, in this little triangle. So yeah, apparently there's some lions along here. I think by this waterhole, just past this waterhole, there's a baobab tree that were hanging around there this morning, so we'll try and find them. Let's go.
Now, you see these little bushes in the center of this screen here. Well, that's where the lions were sleeping. We didn't see them. We will see them later, but it just shows you when it's hot and the lions are sleeping, you can drive right past them if it's the wrong time of day. They will just be sleeping and you just will not see them. But yeah, looking back, it's frustrating to know we drove right past them. After making a thorough search for the lines that we had already driven past, we decided to head over to that little waterhole. This was that secret waterhole, or the little hidden waterhole. We visited here quite often. We never really found anything much happening here. But I'm sure that at times you can find some epic sightings here. And also, we never had any other people at this waterhole. So I think if you did find someone, or not someone, something out here, you would really have a beautiful sighting. And so a very special place and worth stopping by. But after doing that, we decided to make our way back to the waterhole to see if we could find that female lion and see if she was still around. After sneaking around the waterhole, we went to the lioness's bush, which is so close to the waterhole, and there she still was. She had moved a little bit, but she was still under bush right next to the waterhole, still calling softly and just seeming very subdued and quiet under a bush. So we left her there again and went back to the waterhole.
So we left over here. We went all the way. We looped around here looking for those 4 lions. We didn't find them. So we made our way all the way up. We came in here. We looped around here. We drove through this waterhole, which is dry. We came all the way up here. This is some really big, beautiful plains. And there's a little, where this big splotch on the map is, there's a waterhole there, which has some water. We went there, we watched some jackals. We came back all the way down, and then we came down here to the waterhole here where we are waiting here because, as you saw just in the bush behind us, there's that female lion. Now I think she's going to come back exactly over there, and I think she's going to come back and drink water this evening. So yeah.
With nothing else to do but watch the elephants and drink a gin and tonic, we decided to try and wait out and see if the lioness would come down to drink. It turned out that she didn't come down to drink, but we still had a really good time having a little afternoon gin and tonic with the elephants. Watching elephants will definitely make you hungry, and so I recommend little sundowner snacks. And there's nothing better than a nice cracker with a little bit of blue cheese, some German ham, and a cape on top. Very, very good. But yeah, gin and tonic, nice snacks, plenty of elephants, and the hope that a lioness might come out of her bush and walk down to the waterhole makes for a very, very good afternoon. Among the herds of elephants that came down was this young female, and she was there and made this one very frisky, and things became very frisky. Let's just say that. I don't know if I should blur this out, but that was interesting. But yeah, after watching the elephants for a little while, it became clear that female lion was not going to leave her bush. She was, I think it depressed her lion. She was just sad and sitting under her bush. So we decided to take the long way round back to camp. Beautiful sunset, but it was a long, long drive, and the sun was setting, and we did have to be back at camp soon. But we really wanted to see if we could find those 4 lions that we knew were near the little baobab tree. And we knew we had driven past it earlier and we had missed them, so we were really determined to try and find them. At this point we were feeling almost a little bit discouraged, because leaving a known lioness by the waterhole to try and find 4 unknown lions was a bit of a risky move, but it did pay off. Even though it was much darker than it seems in the video, we did finally find them, and you can even see the little baobab tree in the background. We were so close to those lions earlier in that afternoon, but here they were just basically sleeping in the road, enjoying the coolness that was coming with the setting sun. There were 2 fully grown female lions, and then these 2 sub-adults that were with them. They were rather like sub-adults or rather older cubs, but it was so beautiful to see them, and they were so relaxed. They really didn't mind us. In fact, we had to drive around them in the end to make our way back to camp, but they were so relaxed, and it was so beautiful to see them. With darkness setting in, we were forced to move on back to camp. We had to creep around these sleeping lions, and they were so tired and maybe just exhausted from the heat of the day that they could barely be bothered to lift up their heads and look at us as we drove past them on the edge of the road. But such a special sighting, and it was definitely worth taking the long route home. Just passed out in the middle of the road. Anyway, back to camp. Well, when we got back to camp, the first thing we did was go and get a shower. It had been a hot, sweaty day due to the fact that there had been no water earlier. But the good people of the camp had managed to get the water going again, and we were able to have a really good, cool shower. However, on the way back out, we had to chase this elephant from next to the vehicle, because we parked right next to the drain, and that's where the elephants drink their water, out of the drain pipe. So I had to shoo him off so we could get into our car and drive back to our campsite.
Well, back at camp, and we got some slow cooked goat heating up in there. Really delicious. Kettle on, heating up water to go in the thermos for tomorrow morning, because tomorrow we want to have a early start again. It was super cool. We found, as we just saw, we found those lions coming home, so really excited. Wish we could have spent more time there, but we're going to have an early start and get there tomorrow.
It didn't take us long with that big fire to get our slow roast goat heated up and ready to eat. Lots of elephants moving around camp. Well, this is not the most appetizing dinner, but it is very delicious, even though I know it doesn't really look like it.
Slow roast goat.
When did you make this? Oh.
No. Cattle food.
Well, 5:24, coffee made, we were driving out. That is the one benefit of being prepared the night before with the hot water for the coffee. It means we get to leave as soon as we possibly can. And today was going to be a great day with the lions. Well, we said goodbye to the lions. They had been so relaxed this morning, but they didn't stay long it didn't stay around for long, and they soon moved off. But the sun had barely risen yet, and so there was still a chance we could find something else. And so we set off to do our favorite loops in the pans. While the sun was rising, found these giraffe, the beautiful morning light on them. Such a beautiful morning. But no leopards jumping out of bushes just yet, so it was still time to keep searching and keep looking to try and find something. But what a beautiful sunrise. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. I personally love sunrises. Probably always choose sunrise over sunset. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like sunrise or sunset better? Yeah, let me know in the comments. And let me know in the comments if you've ever been to Nxai Pans. And if you've been to Nxai Pans, yeah, please share your experiences, your stories. I love hearing your stories when you share them, especially about the old days. I've got a few people I know who watch the videos who traveled Botswana really long ago. And I just love hearing how things were back then. But even if you've traveled more recently, share your experiences down below. And if you were in Nxai Pans, like at the same time we were, that would be interesting to know what you saw. Because I always wonder about that. You see, I see other people driving around, and then I think, I wonder what they've seen. You know, because sometimes people will talk to you, but a lot of the times people don't. They just drive past, and then I'm sat there wondering, I wonder what they saw. Did they see something that I didn't see? Yeah, I get a little bit like jealous and anxious that people are seeing things that I'm not seeing. I think that's a bit of a problem, to be honest. But we continued our exploring, continued our driving around. This, you can see how faint the tracks are. Now, there is a road there. I know it doesn't look like it, but there's a little road, and that's the road that leads to the little hidden waterhole. Back at the main waterhole, which you'll see now, we actually spotted, you can see there's actually a little impala in the background with that springbok. And Nxai Pans is one of the few places in the world where you find in the wild springbok and impala together. So yeah, fun fact.
So this morning we went obviously to the waterhole. As you saw, we saw the lions, which was super cool. They left, those lions were heading in this direction, which is not sure where they are now, but they were in this area somewhere. We came back down this way, hoping to find those 4 lions we saw yesterday evening. We didn't see them. We drove all the way up, we drove up here, we did loop through there, came all the way here, stopped by that little waterhole. We drove back down, checked out the waterhole. Back here, we just went for a bathroom break at the ablutions, and now we're going to head over here to this tiny little tree island over here, see if there's anything interesting happening there, and then end at this little waterhole over here for coffee.
Yay.
And this is when we discovered something rather interesting, which is close by camp there's another little waterhole. I call it the tiny waterhole because that's all it is. It's really, really tiny. I did mark it on that map that I have created, which again, link in the description if you want to get that map. But we went on to look for that little tree island, which we went to in the end after going to the little waterhole that is in this forest here. You can see it is thick forest at this waterhole, and we decided in the end not to have coffee here, but rather to drive back to that little circle of trees on the tree island and have coffee there. So that's what we did. We drove back out into the pan to the little tree island and made coffee here. Unfortunately, the chocolate brownies got soaking wet, and so there was no chocolate brownies with our coffee this morning. but still, so nice to have a good cup of coffee after driving around looking for things. And when your chocolate brownies get soaked because of water getting in their container from the ice box, what do? Well, you put them on the tailgate and see if they will dry out, but they didn't. So we didn't, well, one did fall there, but we picked it up. We didn't leave it there because apparently chocolate is poisonous for dogs and that, and I think Heather thought that maybe a jackal would eat it and die, so we took that with us. But it was a bit of a shame to not have any chocolate brownies. Again, a loop by the main waterhole just to see if anything had happened there. Nothing was happening over here, so we didn't hang around long here. We just stopped by to see what was happening. Well, having confirmed that nothing interesting was happening at the waterhole, we decided it was time to head back home, back to camp, and have a late breakfast and maybe a nap. I always feel like one needs a nap after driving around. I think also because we get up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, often we desire a nap around this time. Well, after taking a nice morning nap under the big trees, it was time to go and do a bit of washing up. And also, I wanted to show you some cool things in the neighboring campsite. So let's go and have a look. Basically, just wanted to show you the campsite.
An elephant. So that over there is campsite number 2. It's right on the pan. Does not have a lot of shade, but there is a few small trees. You can see them. This tree over here does give a little bit of shade in the campsite, but not a lot. Campsite number 4 got some shade, but the road kind of drives straight past it, so not very private. And then on this side, campsite number 3 is quite a big site, lots of shade, but you've got the ablutions over there, and that means that you're going to have a lot of people walking through. But that's campsite number 3. And then you can see over there campsite number 5, which is actually in there where those people are. It's campsite number 6, and just around the corner over there is campsite number 7. Campsite number 7 doesn't have a lot of shade either. And of course, on the other side of those ablutions, kind of to the back, also not many trees, is campsite number 8 and 9. I think also number 10 is somewhere down there. And number 3. Number 3 is nice, but it's close, it's shady. Our campsite is on the other side of these ablutions. It's campsite number 1, very private, and it's got a nice little bit of shade, but it's a very small campsite, so if you're a big party, you won't fit. And that's the campsite at Nxai Southgate.
With the tour of the neighboring campsites done, it was back to the bathrooms, collect our clean washing, and then back to camp to cook breakfast. Same breakfast as yesterday, no difference. Bacon, eggs, baked beans for breakfast, and of course a little bit of sparkling Moscato. Let me know your thoughts on Moscato. We only recently kind of discovered it, but I swear it is like so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Moscato, a really nice white wine, goes well with breakfast. But yeah, let me know. Yeah, let me know your favorite wines, South African wines to be particular. We're hoping to go and do a little bit of a wine tour, and maybe in September I hope to be able to go down and do a bit of a wine tour around Stellenbosch. And so if you have any ideas of some good wineries to visit, some good vineyards, let me know, because we'll definitely want to go and check them out. But yeah, life doesn't get much better than this, does it? Well, after breakfast, brunch, we had a good nap until the afternoon, and then we set out to have another afternoon drive. But first we decided to stop by the little shop to get some cold drinks. Most well-stocked little fridge, got everything in there. Even mosquito spray. What have they got? They're so well stocked.
How much was all that?
120. We just left the shop there, very nicely stocked, got ourselves some cold drinks. We're making our way this side, and we're heading to the little loops here by the little baobab to see if we can find those male lions that I think went across here and probably hopefully joined up with those 4 female that we saw yesterday. That's what we're doing. But it's very hot, to be honest.
What was it?
Anthill. After looking at many anthills and a bird, it was one of those lapwings. I thought it had a little nest there, but it didn't. It was just, well, maybe it did have a nest, but I didn't see it, and I didn't want to walk all over the place in case it stood on it. But yeah, we soon found this baobab tree, another one on the loop, but you can see how the elephants have been trying to eat that one, and soon it started raining. And this was quite amazing because we really didn't expect to have rain on this trip. It didn't rain hard, but it really changed the whole feel of Nxai Pans, even that tiny little bit of rain. All the animals seemed to get a new lease of energy, and it just seemed like everything cooled down by a few degrees. We checked out our favorite little waterhole and then went on back to the main waterhole to settle down, watch the sunset, watch the elephants, and of course enjoy our favorite snacks. I know I'm going to use the same video here. It is the same little video of the snack again as I did previously, but we had the same snacks, and so you get the same little video. But I must say, that combination with the capers on cheese, on a cracker with a little bit of like prosciutto, really the best afternoon snack. But we hanged around there a little bit. We drove around the loops trying to see if the lions had like settled down under any of the bushes, but it didn't seem like they had. So we continued to drive the back loop back home, taking that loop, the one we took when we found the lions that late afternoon. We found this jackal. There's so many jackals in Nxai Pans, but they're so cute, and I think after a few days in Nxai Pans you'll definitely have a new appreciation for the jackals. While the sun was setting on the very last evening that we would have in Nxai Pans, we head our way home, always vigilant, keeping an eye out. Maybe we would see a last-minute lion or an elusive leopard. We didn't, but we did see this big buffalo bull moving close by camp. We head on home, back to camp, get the fire going, and settle down for the evening.
Well, we're just going to bed. Tent's ready, and we didn't cook anything for dinner because we ate too many cheese and salami crackers. So now we're just really tired, so just going to bed tonight, which is kind of nice, not having to cook. I've got my trail camera, put it over here, see if anything comes walking around here at night. I've been putting it on this pole, but I don't think my trail camera has been working very well. So I adjusted some settings, and we'll see if we get any pictures. Then you'll see some pictures. If it doesn't work, you won't see any pictures, or if there's nothing. So there we go. But yeah, just gonna go to bed. See you in the morning.
Our last morning in Nxai Pans found us waking up as usual at 5:30 to make our coffee and get out to try and find those lions. It's a must. You must have coffee with the lions in the mornings. And so we drove out early that morning to try and find the lions. This morning, a lot of others had the same idea, and we were not the only people getting up early. We heard, as we drove out, the rest of the camp rushing for their vehicles to try and see if they too could get an early sighting of the lions.
But as you can see behind us, we've got other people this morning. We're not alone this morning, which is fine. Well done for these people getting up early. But when we got to the waterhole, the lions were there, but the people parked like very, 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 very far away from them, and it was very dark. And then they turned off all their lights, and then the lions ran away, and now no one knows where the lions went. So obviously we parked next to them because I'd let them go in front of me on the way. So, you know, I didn't want to drive in front of them.
They were driving fast.
They were also driving fast. But normally we try to wait a little bit until there's more light, until you get to the waterhole.
Happily, the lions hadn't gone far, and we soon found them just lying in the lion triangle, in the little shrubs and bushes. They were a little bit further off the road than usual, but still close enough for us to enjoy our coffee with the lions. With the lions back in the bushes, we decided to take a last sunrise loop of the Pans to say goodbye until we'll be back here in October. But what a beautiful, beautiful morning it was. One, beautiful having coffee with the lions, but also what a beautiful sunrise. Definitely, if you are out on safari, at least one morning, make it a goal to get up with the sunrise and watch that sunrise over the plains. It is so beautiful, and you won't regret it at all. You can then always go back to camp and go back to bed, but if you can get up and watch the sunrise, you'll really, really enjoy it. And that's why it was, even though we didn't have the lions to ourselves this morning, it actually made us really happy to see the other vehicles out this morning with the lions, because to think that a lot of them came so far, and for them to enjoy that is so special.
So camp, going to have a coffee and then pack up and leave. But in case you didn't see it, this is our cool t-shirt design, and I think it's cool. It's got a little baobab tree, it's got a lion, a little tent. It says the Okavango Explorers Club, which I'll leave links to our little private group for that.
It's on the boob as well.
On the boob too. But But yeah, if you want, there will be a link below if you want to get one for yourself. But yeah, we're going to make a coffee, and then we are going to sit, have a rusk, have a coffee, and then pack up and leave, hopefully soon.
The last coffee of the trip, it was time to pack down our tent and say goodbye to our little campsite. It had been a really beautiful trip, and I think Nxai Pans has become maybe a good second favorite Botswana destination for us. We love the Kalahari, we love Kwai, but there's something very special about Nxai Pans, and we will definitely be back here. In fact, we've already booked for October, and we're really looking forward to that trip. Well, I really don't know who you are if you've made it this far in the video. So if you have, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment saying that you got to the end. I really appreciate you watching, appreciate your comments and your likes and shares. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, all your support. Had to just pause there because that little jackal was so cute, saying goodbye to us as we drove out. Well, thank you so much. See you next time. Like, subscribe. Bye.